Life will never hand you success on a silver platter. Every single one of us has to face hardship. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. The truth is simple, you don't escape the hard. You just get to choose it. You can choose to grind now, sacrifice now, and discipline yourself now. So later, life becomes easier. Or you can choose comfort, excuses, and shortcuts today, but later, life is gonna hit you harder than you can handle. The path of greatness and the path of regret both begin with the same word, hard. The only difference is whether you choose your hard today or life forces it on you tomorrow. Life is hard. That's not a pessimistic statement. It's a fact, a universal truth. But here's the part most people miss. You get to decide which hard you're going to endure. There's no option where life becomes painless, where everything just falls into place without sacrifice. You either face the difficulty of discipline today, or you face the difficulty of regret tomorrow. And those two kinds of hard are not equal. One builds you, the other breaks you. Think about it this way: when you wake up in the morning, your alarm goes off. The first hard choice you face is simple. Do you get up or do you hit snooze? Getting up is hard because it demands effort, willpower, maybe even discomfort if you're tired. Hitting snooze feels easy in the moment. But what's the cost if you keep choosing that easy road? Over time, your life becomes harder. You lose discipline, you lose momentum, and eventually you lose trust in yourself. That's the paradox. What feels easy now creates a harder life later, while what feels hard now creates an easier life later. From a psychological perspective, this comes down to something very important: delayed gratification. The ability to put off short-term comfort in pursuit of long-term reward is one of the strongest predictors of success. Children who can resist eating one marshmallow in order to earn two later don't just win at marshmallow games, they win at life. They grow into adults who can save money instead of spending recklessly, who can study instead of partying, who can train their bodies instead of giving into laziness. That single trait, choosing the harder option now, creates a compounding effect that makes everything easier in the long run. But let's take it deeper. Why is life structured this way? Why can't we just have the reward without the pain? Because growth demands sacrifice. Order comes from chaos. To be more tomorrow than you are today, you must endure something uncomfortable in the present. If you avoid that, you don't stay the same, you regress, you weaken. Life punishes avoidance. Every time you ignore your responsibilities, the weight of those responsibilities doesn't disappear. It multiplies. The bills pile up, the relationships fall apart, your health deteriorates, and suddenly life becomes unmanageable. That's the hard later that people end up facing, and it's far heavier than the discipline they refuse to accept in the first place. It's like lifting weights. You can choose the hard of going to the gym, of stressing your muscles, of feeling that burn. Or you can choose the easy, of sitting on the couch, avoiding the discomfort. But the couch isn't free. Over time, the so-called easy choice leads to weakness, fatigue, and eventually a body that betrays you. The weight you refuse to lift in the gym comes back as the weight of disease, immobility, and regret. One form of pain is productive. The other is destructive. And it's not just physical, it's existential. Choosing your hard today is an act of aligning with meaning. It's about saying, I will bear the burden now because I know the future is worth it. That kind of responsibility gives you dignity, strength, even a sense of purpose. But if you choose the other route, the one where you avoid the hard thing, your life becomes dictated by chaos. You aren't in control anymore. You become a slave to the consequences you try to run away from. So when you hear the phrase, choose your hard, understand that it's not a cliche, it's the reality of human existence. You can't escape difficulty. The only question is, will you choose the hard that transforms you, or will you wait for the hard that destroys you? Discipline delays pain and laziness delays pleasure. That's the principle. It's deceptively simple, but if you internalize it, it will change the trajectory of your entire life. Because what you're really deciding every day is this: do I want the discomfort now and the reward later, or do I want the comfort now and the punishment later? And it's astonishing how consistently people choose the second option, even though they know the consequences. Let's make this practical. Imagine you've got a deadline, a paper due, a project at work, a promise you made to yourself. You know it needs to be done. Discipline means you sit down, you focus, you push through the resistance. It's not enjoyable, at least not at first. It feels like friction, like a battle with yourself. But if you face it today, if you endure that difficulty, the pain doesn't grow. It actually dissolves. And the reward, peace of mind, confidence, even pride, shows up tomorrow. Now let's look at the opposite. Laziness says, I'll do it later. I'll scroll my phone instead. I'll relax. I'll take it easy. In that moment, it feels good. But here's the problem. The work doesn't disappear. It lingers and hangs over you. It festers. And when you finally face it, it's not only harder, but the stress is compounded. Worse, you've trained yourself to avoid, and avoidance always breeds anxiety. This is why laziness is so destructive. It's not about the lost productivity. It's about the psychological toll. When you repeatedly choose short-term comfort, you erode your own sense of integrity. You know you've broken a promise to yourself. You know you've postponed something meaningful. And over time, that builds self-contempt. You stop believing in your own words. And when that happens, you lose one of the most fundamental foundations of mental health, trust in yourself. Now discipline, by contrast, is brutally honest. Discipline says, this is gonna hurt now, but I'll carry the weight willingly. That decision strengthens you. It builds competence, and competence breeds confidence. You learn to associate hard work with meaning, and that transforms pain into purpose. Discipline makes you proud of yourself, and pride, in the proper sense, is fuel. It's not arrogance, it's the knowledge that you did what was necessary, even when it wasn't easy. Philosophically, this is a trade-off between chaos and order. Laziness gives into chaos. It chooses the path of least resistance, which always leads downhill. Discipline imposes order. It structures time, it sets boundaries. It says, I'll suffer now, so that life is not unbearable later. That principle is written into the very fabric of existence. You cannot bend it. You cannot cheat it. You can only align yourself with it or be broken by it. It's also worth noticing that laziness doesn't actually create pleasure, it destroys it. The so-called comfort of laziness is shallow, fleeting, almost always tinged with guilt. But the pleasure that follows discipline is clean, it's real. When you've earned your rest restores you. When you've earned your reward, the reward satisfies you. That's the difference. Pleasure that follows discipline nourishes. Pleasure that follows laziness corrodes. So the real question is, how do you want to carry your pain? Because one way or another, you will carry it. You can carry it now with intention through discipline and transform it into something meaningful. Or you can avoid it, delay it, let it till it crashes down, and let it accumulate with a force you can't control. And I'll tell you this, life punishes avoidance more severely than it rewards effort. The cost of laziness is always greater than the cost of discipline. Success demands sacrifice. That's not motivational fluff, that's a law of reality. Every meaningful achievement, every transformation, every breakthrough requires you to give something up. And people often resist that truth because it feels unfair. Why can't I have the dream and the comfort, the goal and the leisure, the reward without the price? But that's not how the world is structured. There is always an exchange. You pay now or you pay later. The currency is sacrifice. Consider this: when you say yes to something, you are automatically saying no to something else. If you say yes to sleeping in, you're saying no to progress. If you say yes to distraction, you're saying no to focus. If you say yes to instant gratification, you're saying no to long-term fulfillment. The reality of life is built on trade-offs, and pretending otherwise is self-deception. Every choice you make is a sacrifice of what could have been. The only real question is, are you sacrificing what matters for what is easy, or sacrificing what is easy for what matters? Now here's where people get it wrong. They assume that sacrifice is purely about deprivation, about losing something. But in truth, sacrifice is the act of investing. When you sacrifice comfort today, you're investing in a stronger, freer, more capable version of yourself tomorrow. When you sacrifice time on entertainment, you're investing that time into your craft, your career, your growth. And investment multiplies. Sacrifice compounds into success the same way consistent financial investments compound into wealth. The person who avoids sacrifice might feel like they're gaining something in the moment, but over time, they're actually losing far more. Psychologically, sacrifice is one of the deepest indicators of what you truly value. You can say you want to be successful, you can say you want health, wealth, or meaning. But what you're willing to give up reveals what you actually care about. If you say you want success, but you're unwilling to give up the weekend parties, you don't want success, you want comfort. If you say you want health, but you're unwilling to sacrifice junk food, you don't want health, you want indulgence. The truth of your values is not in your words, but in your sacrifices. Philosophically, this is as old as human history. Ancient cultures understood that sacrifice was central to existence. They built entire rituals around it. Why? Because they recognized something profound. You cannot gain without giving. Something of value must always be offered up. Today, we've lost touch with that truth. We want results without the ritual, rewards without the offering. But the universe doesn't work that way. Whether you acknowledge it or not, sacrifice is built into the structure of reality. Think about it practically. If you don't sacrifice for your future will sacrifice you. The hours you waste become skills you never develop. The money you squander becomes opportunities you never touch. The relationships you neglect become loneliness later in life. Avoiding sacrifice isn't free, it simply shifts the cost onto your future self. And your future self will curse you for it. But if you embrace sacrifice, if you willingly give up what is shallow for what is meaningful, something shifts inside you. You don't just grow stronger, you grow prouder. You begin to see yourself as someone who can be trusted, someone who can hold the line, someone who can carry the burden. That pride is not ego, it's earned self-respect. And that is priceless. Pain has a strange quality. It feels unbearable when you're in it, but once you endure it, once you come out the other side, you discover it was shaping you the entire time. That's the paradox: temporary pain produces permanent growth. And this is where people often misunderstand life. They think pain is the enemy, something to avoid at all costs. But avoidance doesn't eliminate pain, it only postpones it. And postponed pain usually returns in a form far worse than the one you ran from. When you choose to face difficulty voluntarily, you transform it. Struggle becomes training, resistance becomes strength. Think about lifting weights again. Every rep hurts, every set is uncomfortable, but that pain has meaning. It signals growth. It's the body adapting, becoming more resilient. Now compare that to the pain of weakness, the pain of disease that comes from never moving, never challenging yourself. That pain has no meaning, it's only suffering. One pain makes you stronger, the other makes you smaller. And you get to choose which one you engage with. Psychologically, this principle is vital. Human beings are anti-fragile. We don't grow in comfort, we grow in challenge. The nervous system, the mind, the character, they all develop when they're pushed beyond their limits. When you take on something difficult, whether it's studying when you'd rather rest, pushing through a tough conversation, or forcing yourself to train, you're teaching your mind and body that you can handle more than you thought. That is how resilience is built. Not through ease, but through voluntary confrontation with pain. Philosophically, it's the difference between meaningful suffering and meaningless suffering. Meaningful suffering is chosen. It's pain with a purpose. You know why you're enduring it, and that knowledge transforms it. It becomes almost noble. Parents endure sleepless nights with newborns not because it's easy, but because they understand what's at stake. Students endure years of hard study because they see the future reward. Athletes train until their bodies ache because they believe in the victory ahead. In each case, pain is real, but it's purposeful. Now, meaningless suffering is different. It's the suffering of avoidance, of regret, of consequences catching up with you. That pain doesn't strengthen. It breaks, it corrodes, and it leaves you bitter instead of better. This is why it's so crucial to lean into temporary pain. Because every time you confront it, you're not just building skill or strength. You're building identity. You're teaching yourself who you are. A person who faces pain willingly becomes courageous, disciplined, resilient. A person who avoids pain becomes fragile, fearful, easily broken. The choice of how you relate to pain is really the choice of what kind of person you're becoming. It's worth noting that society doesn't make this easier. Everything around you markets ease. Fast food, instant entertainment, shortcuts, hacks, all of it whispers the same message. You shouldn't have to suffer, but that's a lie. You must suffer. The only choice is whether you suffer in pursuit of growth or suffer in pursuit of nothing. And here's the truth. When you suffer for nothing, the suffering doesn't end. It lingers, it deepens, and it robs your life of meaning. But when you suffer for growth, the pain is temporary and what it produces is permanent. So you have to reframe how you see difficulty. Don't just grit your teeth and endure it. Recognize it as the tool that sculpts you. Pain is the sculptor and you are the stone. Without the hammer and chisel, you remain unformed. With them, you become something sharper, stronger, more refined. There's something remarkable about the human mind. We can endure almost anything as long as we understand why we're enduring it. When suffering has no context, it feels unbearable. But when it's connected to a vision, when you know what it's for, it becomes fuel. That's the role of vision. It doesn't eliminate hardship, but it transforms it. It takes pain and frames it as progress. Think about how this plays out in everyday life. A student studying for years, sacrificing sleep and leisure, isn't just grinding through textbooks. They're holding on to the vision of becoming a doctor, an engineer, a creator of something bigger than themselves. A parent working double shifts isn't just tired. They're driven by the vision of giving their children a better future. Vision gives meaning to sacrifice, and meaning is what sustains people through difficulty. Without it, pain becomes chaos. With it, pain becomes purpose. Psychologically, this is essential because human beings are not designed to thrive in comfort. We're designed to strive toward goals. Our nervous system, our motivational systems, our very sense of fulfillment all activate when we move towards something meaningful. If you remove vision, you remove direction. And without direction, every obstacle feels random and cruel. You end up asking, why is this happening to me? Rather than, what is this shaping me into? That subtle shift makes all the difference between despair and resilience. Philosophically, vision is what pulls you out of the present into the future. The present moment is often difficult. Work is tedious. Training is painful. Discipline is uncomfortable. If you live only in the present, those experiences feel overwhelming. But when you connect them to a vision, you place them within a larger story. You realize the pain of the moment is a chapter, not the whole book. That's why people can endure so much more than they think. They anchor the pain to a future reward, and that gives it context. But here's the danger: without vision, you will default to distraction. If you don't have a clear future to work toward, your mind will look for immediate relief. That's when comfort becomes seductive. You scroll endlessly, you chase shallow pleasures, you indulge in things that numb you rather than strengthen you. Why? Because without vision, there's no compelling reason to endure difficulty. And if you can't endure difficulty, you can't grow. This is why clarity of purpose is not optional. You need to know what you're working for, not vaguely, but specifically. A vague desire: I want to be successful, won't carry you through 4 a.m. alarms or long nights of study. But a clear vision: I want to build this business, I want to break this cycle in my family, I want to reach this exact goal. That will keep you moving when everything you wants to quit. The sharper your vision, the more tolerable your pain. And this isn't just about achievement, it's about survival. People who lose vision often collapse into despair. They see no future. And so the present becomes unbearable. That's when pain turns destructive. But when you can see even a glimmer of meaning in your struggle, you can push through almost anything. That's why vision isn't just motivational, it's existential. It's what makes life bearable. So when you face difficulty, don't just grit your teeth and push through. Ask yourself, what vision am I serving? What is this pain creating in me? What story is this chapter a part of? Those questions turn struggle into strategy. They remind you that you're not just suffering, you're building. The future isn't some abstract thing waiting for you. It's being built right now by the choices you make today. Every decision is a brick in the foundation of the life you're creating. That's the essence of hard now, easy later versus easy now, hard later. If you choose the hard thing today, discipline, responsibility, sacrifice, you're investing in a future that's freer, stronger, and more meaningful. But if you consistently choose what's easy now, that debt accumulates, and eventually the future becomes unbearable. This isn't just a motivational slogan, it's an observable truth. Look at someone who trained their body consistently, who sacrificed unhealthy habits in their youth. By the time they're older, they move with strength. They avoid many of the illnesses that destroy people's later years. They carry dignity in their posture. They chose the hard path early, and their future is easier. Contrast that with the person who avoided discipline, who indulged constantly, who never sacrificed in the present. Their future is filled with regret, pain, and limitations. The cost didn't vanish, it just shifted forward. The same is true financially. You either save, sacrifice, and build now, or you spend recklessly and let the weight crush you later. Relationships follow the same pattern. Invest in and work through conflict, sacrifice ego, and you build something lasting. Avoid the hard conversations, cling to comfort, refuse responsibility, and the relationship crumbles under neglect. Across every domain, the same law applies. Your future is the sum of your present sacrifices. Psychologically, this ties into something profound: time preference. People with a high time preference chase immediate rewards, even if it costs them long-term stability. People with a low time preference endure discomfort now for greater stability later. The research is overwhelming. Those who can delay gratification consistently outperform those who can't. Why? Because they understand that the future is real and that their actions ripple outward. Philosophically, this principle forces you to confront responsibility. You are not a passive observer of your future, you're the architect. And architecture requires discipline. Every shortcut you take today weakens the structure. Every responsible choice strengthens it. It's sobering, but it's also liberating. It means the future is not left to chance. It's not predetermined by your past. It's being negotiated in every decision you make right now. But here's the subtle danger: the future feels far away. The easy choice whispers louder because the pain is immediate and the reward is delayed. That's why so many people trade their future for the present. They can't see the cost until it's too late. The challenge then is to keep the vision of your future vivid enough that it outweighs the seduction of comfort. You need to imagine not just the reward of discipline, but also the punishment of laziness. Both are real, both are waiting for you. Which one you meet depends on what you do today. So think carefully about the trajectory of your life. If you continue making the same choices you made this week, where will you be in 5 years? If you continue avoiding responsibility, what will that avoidance become? If you continue embracing sacrifice, what strength will that produce? The future is not some distant possibility, it's the logical conclusion of your daily actions. Life gives us no escape from difficulty. The only freedom we have is in choosing which difficulty we'll bear. The heart of discipline, sacrifice, and responsibility today, or the harder weight of regret, weakness, and missed potential tomorrow. Every choice writes your future, every sacrifice invests in who you're becoming, and every act of discipline transforms pain into strength. If you hold on to vision and endure the temporary struggles with courage, the rewards will outlast the suffering. But if you choose comfort now, you hand your future over to chaos. So the challenge is simple, though never easy: choose your heart today. Because the life you want tomorrow depends on it.